Dear students, welcome back to another session of computer-based accounting Zoom video discussion. In this lecture, we will be discussing how to enter the customer credit note, and also we will be discussing how to charge the financial charges to our customers in case if they are not going to pay the payments according to the given condition. So, to start up our discussion, we have to make sure that we all are having the last backup file available in our systems. So, if you have completed up to the customer invoices, at this moment, we need to have a certain number of invoices created by you using the example given in your handout. So, to check that, first of all, before we'll start today's discussion, let us go back to the Peachtree software package and check. So the lastly what we did is the customer module. Under the customer module, we have discussed the quotations creation, and then we can check whether the quotations are available there by going to the quotation button and then clicking the view and edit command. So there we can see one quotation is still remaining there without transferring that into the purchase order or into the sales invoice. Then if you come to the sales order option, then if you view there, you can see we have created three sales orders. One order is a conversion from the quotation to the sales order. Other two orders are directly created sales orders. Then if you go to the invoicing option, sales invoicing option, and look at the view and edit command, you need to have at the current situation 8 different type of invoices created. One of these invoices created through the quotation, again conversion of the quotation. Then two of the items are created, or three of the items are conversions of the uh, your sales orders, and the rest of the balance are direct invoices. So this is the current situation, and at this moment, if we have completed all the transactions what we have discussed starting from the beginning, we need to have many transactions completed. So to check the total number of transactions completed up to now, we can go to the report and forms. From there we can go to the general ledger command. From there we can select the transaction detail report. When you select the transaction detail report, you may not get the information in that situation because of the date periods are different. So you can go to the option command and then go to the date calendar drop down list and select all and then click OK. That will be bringing all the transaction you have completed up to now using this particular handouts. So let's look at how many transactions we have completed up to now. So everyone need to have, if you have correctly done the work, you need to have 32 transactions completed by now. I hope you got the idea up to now what we have completed. Now if you have that backup file available, today's discussion will be starting with the credit memos. As you know, similar to the suppliers, whereby we can return the goods to the supplier due to the various reasons, maybe the damages, maybe the expiry, maybe the certain other situations whereby you can return the goods back to the supplier. Same manner, our customers also can return the goods to us due to the various reasons. Again, these returns can happen in two different points. First return can be at the point of the delivery. When the goods were delivered to the customer, immediately there was a recognition or the identification by the customer certain items are not in a good condition or it is damaged. So in that case, he can return the goods against the invoice. If not, then later stage, if we identify the later stage expire item or some kind of damages in your stores, then they can return the goods later date. That is called open returns, and whereby you are not going to use the invoice numbers. You just return the items to the custom items you can accept by the system. So to do that, we need to access into this particular window. As you can see again, we have two options whereby we can access into the credit memo window. First one is the main menu command called task. By using the task command, we can select the command called credit memo, whereby you can directly access into the credit memo window. Second method, if you are in the customer and sales module, then in the navigation center, you can see the separate isolated button called credit and returns, and clicking that button, we can select the new credit memo command. whereby we will be able to access into the same customer credit memo window. Now, the customer credit memo window is used to enter the credit memos for returns by customers. So, once the returns received to you, you have to give the return note to them. So, that will be accepted by the customer and the company. So, you can apply the credit memos to an existing invoices or enter in as an open credit. As I mentioned earlier, you can return the goods against the invoice, or you can accept that by open credit without the invoice number. So generally, first we will look at the window here. So the credit memo window is a simple window, very similar to the purchase return window, whereby you can select the appropriate customer when the returns will return to you, and then you can enter the date of return, and also very importantly you need to enter the credit memo number or the credit note number. Then if you know the purchase order number, terms and condition will automatically taken by the system, and you can see the respective account, which is the debit account, is appearing here. Account receivable is going to be debited and customer is going to be credited by this particular transaction. Then you have to select either, there are two options: apply to invoice tab and apply to sales tab. If you are knowing the invoice and return comes against the invoice, then we can select the particular invoice and we can enter the quantities received. And also if you don't know the invoice, then you can accept that by selecting the item and entering the quantities as well. So let's look at how to enter the credit memos and should see this particular window again. So if you go to the task command by using the package, there you can see the separate command called credit memos, whereby we can click that, customer credit memo window will get open, right? So that is the first method. Second method, if you are in the customer and sales module, then you go down, there you can see the isolated button called credit and returns. Click that and then select the new credit memo command, whereby you will be able to access to the window. As I mentioned you earlier, first of all, we have to select the customer who is returning the goods. Once you select the customer, most of the terms and condition and other automated information will appear. Then we have to put the date of return, and also we have to enter the credit memo number. After that, if the returns comes against the invoice, you can select the particular invoice and then you have to enter the quantity returned by the customer. Only the quantity returned, right? Quantity returned by the customer. So that will reverse the full transaction what we have created earlier. So you can see how the transaction is going to reverse by the journal entries. You can see now Inland Revenue Department this time will be debited because the return notes and the tax will be reversed, and also you can see cotton trouser sales account will be debited. So sales will be reversed again, no sales happen. And also cost of sales and inventory account will be updated automatically by the system, and meantime total value will be credited to the customer, whereby he is not going to make any payments to you related to the return. So perfect uh, correct journal entry is there. So once you click save, this will update the appropriate ledger account. In case if these returns are not against the invoice, so that means we don't know the invoice, then we have to accept the item by using the apply to sales tab. Click in that, you can accept the item returning by the customer and you enter the quantity return. Again, similar manner, reverse entry will appear there, but only thing, it is not applicable to the customer credit memo, right? So that is the only difference. So you can see how it is going to appear in your screens as well. So this is the situation. Again, you can see the situation. Same type of transaction will be updated in your ledger account. I hope you got the idea how to enter the transaction. Once you finish entering the details, you can click the save button and update your ledger account as well. Okay, now you know how to enter the credit memos. As I told you earlier, we can create the credit memo against the existing sales invoice. That means you know the invoice number and return the goods against the invoice number. And the other method is, without knowing the invoice number, we can return the goods to our company by the customers credit memos as an open credit. So to do these activities, let us go straight away into the activity number 10.5, which asks you to enter the two credit memos, one against the invoice, one without the invoice. As you can see, there are two customers who are returning the goods. One customer is returning the goods against the invoice. You can see the invoice number is given. Other customer is returning the goods and you are accepting it without invoice. So let's look at how to enter these two transactions into the system now by going back to the credit memo window. So first of all, we will close this credit memo what I have used and go back to the package, and you know the options to select the credit memo window. You can go to the any option and select the credit memo and then go to the activity. So the first activity, we need to select the customer code AMN001. So first we will select the customer code. So once you select the customer code, customer details and other terms and conditions will automatically appear in the system. Then look at the date of return. Return date is going to be 25th of April. So we need to go to the calendar and correctly select the date of return. And meantime, return note number. So our credit memo number is CN001. First number CN001. We need to enter that as well. Then any other information provided appropriately, you need to enter into the appropriate places. So the relevant invoice need to be selected like SI004, that is the invoice against which the returns comes to our business. So we have to select the appropriate. We have delivered the customer 120 unit of blouses. Out of that, several items identified like a damaged item. You can see 10 quantities were returned by the customer immediately after delivering. So whereby we can reverse that transaction against the invoice number. So the price level is applicable to this was normal price. So it is there. No need to change. And then applicable reverse account will be the sales account, and VAT 8% were reversed again. So you can see all the informations are now appearing in your window. If you go to the journal entry, you can see how the ledgers are going to be updated. This is going to be the reverse entry and reversely update all the information. And meantime, you can print the credit memo as well for your customer and can give it to him. So by printing the credit memo, so you can see how the credit memo is printed. All negative values are shown there. There is a reverse entry, and the total value will be deducted from the customer account. So this is the first one. To update your ledger accounts and appropriately update the required different other ledgers, you need to click the save button. So go to the second transaction without knowing the invoice number. GGF001 is the customer. And the date of return according to the information 30th of April. So the last date of the month. And the return note number is automatically taking the next number CN002, not applicable with the invoices, so you don't have to select any invoice. That means that is not applicable. And the two items here he is going to return is the tie and CTL item. So we can go to the apply to invoice tab and select the first item, tie. TIE001, and the quantity returned by the customer 5 unit. So we will be accepting 5 unit returned by the customer. And meantime, price was given as a normal price. It was issued to them with the normal price. So you need to get the return by the same price. So the next item, CTL001 is the next item. We need to select CTL001, and the quantity returned by the customer is going to be 7 unit this time. And again the reverse price will be the normal price. Need to check and reverse it. And also the VAT is applicable accordingly. And you can see again the journal entry will appear like that. So all the entries are going properly, appropriately update in the ledger account. If you want to see the print preview of this particular credit memo, also you can go to the print preview option and you can see the two items returning by the customer. So that will be the situation. To update the respective accounts, we can click the save button. So that is how to create the credit memos. I hope you got an idea how to create the credit memos. We have two options. One is against the invoice, that is called apply the invoice number, or the other one is called apply to the supplies, right? So that is the apply to the sales. So that is the next item, whereby we can see both items are there accordingly. Given situation, you need to apply that properly and update the ledger account. Meantime, If you go back to the return note button and click and go to the view command, we need to have two credit memos already created. One is called applied. Applied one is not showing any value. That is because it's directly deducted from the invoice value. And unapplied is showing the value, that is the reverse amount which was credited to the customer. I hope you got the great idea of how to enter in the credit memos. So next, we will look at the final activity of the customer module, that is how to charge the finance charges to your customer. As you can remember, if the company is having a policy and they are going to charge the financial charges to the customer for the late payments, then in that case we have to apply that. To apply these financial charges, first of all, we have to have the module prepare. That means during the time when you are preparing the default settings to the customers, this particular section need to be completed. So let's check whether everyone is having that part is completed according to the given condition of the your own company. So let's how to check your default setting. You may know it now. So you can go to the maintain main menu and then you can go to the default information, or you can go to the option command and then you can go to the default information. Now we are talking about the customers. This particular default is applicable to the customer. So you can select the customer default. Then there's a tab which is called finance charges. So you need to go to that particular tab and see whether you have set up everything and also appropriate account is given to calculate and get that extra money which the customer is going to pay for you. So go to the finance charge button. Now, if you have set up correctly, first of all, you have to tell the computer that we are going to charge the financial charges from our customers for the late payment. So that means this particular tick box needs to be ticked. Then the condition. Now, according to the policy of the company, this condition can change. If you go back to my early lectures, creation part of the customer module and the default settings of the customer, you may get all the details of that particular video, whereby you can repeat it and listen to it if you are not clear with how we have set up this. Now, according to our company policy, here we can see all the invoices overdue 30 days up to 100,000 rupees will charge 0.5% annual interest from the customer. Annual interest of 0.5% charge overdue 30 days invoices up to 100,000. If you have overdues more than 100,000, above this value will charge 1% interest. So that will be the condition applicable to this particular company. As well as if these calculations are less than 100 rupees, then we will be charging minimum charge of 100 rupees from the customer. Say if your calculations comes to 98 rupees, in that case 98 is not going to appear there. We will be charging 100 rupees as a rounding figure. And also there's another tick box which we have not ticked. Actually, this is interest on interest, in case if the customer is not going to pay the interest charges even applicable to his statement, and then next round calculation you will be calculating interest on interest, right? And also it is very important to make sure that you have attached the specific account. For that purpose, we have created the account called 4250CL late interest income. So the account type need to be income category, that need to be there. So if these informations are available, only now we can go and apply the finance charges, right? So I hope everyone is having that. Now we'll go back to the handout. Again, you can see there are two options whereby you can access into the financial charges window. One option through the task menu, other option going back to the customer and sales navigation center. So let's look at the both method. Task command, and if you go to the certain section called finance charges under the first category or the customer charging, so the finance charges, that will open up the filtering window for the finance charges. That is the first option. Second option, if you are in the customer module, you can see in between the sales invoice and receiving money option, we got a button called finance charge. By using that button, we can access to the same window. When you are applying it, very important, financial charges can be applicable or they apply to the customer only the particular given date. So that means your dates need to be exactly the date which the financial charges are going to be charged. For that, we have to make sure, first of all, our system date and also the given period need to match, right? So as you can see currently in this particular computer, my system date is showing 7th September 2020, and my current financial period shows 1st April 2020, right? So that is the first period we are here. So I cannot apply the financial charges to the customer for the future period. So that means make sure when we have to bring the system date also equal to the period, right? That means if you are applying the customer financial charges as at the 30th of April 2020, then you have to make sure your system date need to be that particular date. You have to bring this system date to the 30th April and click OK. So that means two dates need to be matched each other. Otherwise, your financial charges will not be charged to the customer, right? Because the financial charges need to charge to the customer in a given particular date. You cannot charge for the past, you cannot charge for the future. So make sure the system date and the current period need to be the same if you want to charge it. Then only we can go to the finance charge button and then click this. This is the filter whereby you can ask from which customers you are going to charge. There are various filters. For example, we can tell from the database starting from the first customer and selecting the last customer. That means you will be charging for all customers financial charges, right? So if you select the first name and the last name, that means all the customers are applicable with the financial charges. That is one filter. According to the conditions, you should apply it. Or you can apply only one customer by selecting financial charges for the given customer, right? So that is another option. Or you can use another button is available here. You can see it says starting customer only. That if you click this one, only the first customer will charge with the financial charges. Or we can have another masking that is called type. We have type. Our customers are two type: clothing and trading. So in case if you want to apply only for the clothing customers, then you just tell the computer we will be charging the financial charges for the clothing customers. So that means it is applicable only for the category type called clothing customers, not for the training customers, right? Right? Various masking is there depending on the given situation. Please apply it correctly. Then date need to be the exact date of applying that. Then we can go to the next option and do the activities as per, right? So for example, just to show you how to go, then you select one option and click OK. Then it will come to the again window whereby you have to give the commands to the computer. Now first command will be apply financial charges, yes or no. So if you say no, financial charges is not going to calculate for the customer. So if you want to really apply it, you have to make sure that we will be clicking yes on this particular situation. Then print the calculation sheet. Yes is there. Can you print? We don't have printer, so we have to say no for this. Then where you want to see your report, whether you want to get that into the printer screen or do not print the report. So if you want to see the report in your screen, then you have to say screen. Then only you can click OK. Then the financial charges will calculate it to the customers according to the given conditions, right? So this is how the financial charges to be calculated based on the given condition. Right. So let's go to the handout and see what is happening in our company. According to the information provided to you, so it says at the end of the session, the management of the AFMA or the BCom Private Limited decided to charge financial charges on all customers of the clothing division as at 30th April 2020. Record the financial charges based on this information. So our company policy says that we are going to charge the financial charges only for the clothing division customers. As at the 30th of April, we will be charging to all customers coming under the clothing business like financial charges to the customer, right? Now, if you can't remember where these divisionals are given, so let me show that again. If you go to the individual customers, if you have to prepare customer ledger correctly. Now, customer type, we have selected several customers like clothing customers, some of the customers like training customers. If I run through this, you can see one by one when I'm clicking the arrows, there are several clothing customers in our list and one training customer also there, right? Others are all clothing customers. One person is training customer, all other customers are clothing customers. That means out of 6, 5 will be charged with the financial charges. But you can see one person not having any balance, he will be not charged as financial charges as well. Only the outstanding balances will charge the financial charges. So let's apply it and see now. So we'll go to the finance chart button. First of all, check whether the date, system date is brought back to the 30th of April 2020, and also your period need to be the period number 1, where you cover the period starting from 1st of April to the 30th April 2020. If it is not there, set that. Then you go to the finance charge and then select the masking, whereby you select the clothing business. So only the clothing customers will appear, and the charging date is exactly the 30th April 2020. Then click OK. Then we have to say apply to the financial charge, yes, print the calculation sheet, no, and show that in the screen, and click OK again. Then you will get options whereby you can tell any option here, whether you want to see the summary report or the detailed report, or you can get this report according to the ascending order of the ID or by the name. So as you wish, you can get that. So I will be selecting detail and by ID, click OK. Then you will be able to see the financial charges charged for all 4 customers of the clothing business. First customer need to pay 340 rupees 99 cents. ABC 001 customer need to pay 249.64, and GGF001 need to pay 248.05, HIF need to pay 191.95, and overall grand total need to be 1066.63%. Right? So this is how the financial charges need to be paid by each of the outstanding bills of the customer. You can see individual bills which the financial charges are applicable is shown in the breakdown, and that is the report is generated. Once you click close this window, all the ledger accounts need to be updated. Right? So I hope you have now knowing, you know how to enter the quotations, how to enter the sales orders, how to enter the sales invoices, credit memos, and also how to charge the financial charges to your customer. Most of the activity in this flow is by time completed. So the balance will be collecting money and depositing that into the bank account. So we will be showing that in the next lecture. So at the moment, if you have completed everything properly, how many transactions completed by now? Let's go to the report and forms and then go to the general ledger and select the transaction detail report, and then look at whether you are in the all period. Select all period and click OK. Then you will be seeing all the transaction completed, including the final financial charges you charge. So you can see all the transaction. By now we have completed 38 transactions to this business. Here is the financial charges. You can see the financial charges applicable to the customers are there on the given date, 30th of April. 4 people are there in the list. So you can see almost all the transaction completed up to now is 100% accurately updated to the respective ledger account. And meantime, if you go and check your trial balance, now we have many trial balances for the month of before starting the business, that is 31st of date is 31st of March 2020 trial balance, that is the opening trial balance. Then we can see the trial balance, updated trial balance as at 30th of April 2020. And also there are certain transactions we have forwarded to the month of May, and we can see how the updated trial balance is there for the month of May. For look at that also, you can go back to the report and forms. You can go to the general ledger. There's a report called general ledger trial balance. Double click and open. Then you can go to the option and change accordingly. So you go to the as of, down arrow, and select the opening period. First of all, in your situation, it is not showing the opening period, this peach tree, but the other packages, now the various latest package will show that. So the current month, we will look at the current month first, the month of April. As at the end of the April, this is your trial balance. You can see all the charges applicable, and finally you end up with the 19,856,821.6 as the trial balance. But if you go to the further, 1 month future, so that means the month 2, if you go to the month 2, and then you can see the re-updated version is 20 million odd is there, right? So this is the situation, and also highly summarized form of your business status as at the 30th of April. You can see this is the current situation of your business as at the given date, period 1. If you updated this into the period number 2, then you can see the different picture. Say no and no again. So you can see the re-updated version of this, and also the system date need to bring back to the accurate date, right? So we will keep the system date as the today's date. After calculating everything, then it will work appropriately. So we can see the situation. This is how everything's happened. Now it's time for you to take the backup file of this company. To take the backup file, we can go back to the file command, and then we can go to the backup command and keep the company name as a backup file name. Click the backup button. Select the place where you normally save the item. It need to be now say drive, and also your computer. If you are using your own computers, it's in your computer, and you need to make sure that you are backup properly into the appropriate place with the given name. So give the chapter numbers or the chapter name. That is the best way, whereby you know what is the last chapter. According to this, we can see our chapter is going to be the chapter number 10. So we can backup this as a chapter number 10 backup file. So whereby you can find the place. I normally save that in my folder, separate folder called computer based accounting second year, and with that I got a backup folder whereby I can keep here. At the end we can add chapter 10. We know that chapter 10 backup file is available there, and click the save button, and again confirm that by clicking OK. So this is how to work with your customer module. I hope you enjoyed that. You know now how to enter all the transactions. So please do it and update your ledger account. Also complete your student activities as well simultaneously with the class activity, whereby you get more and more knowledge.